When you know you can make thousands of dollars by yourself, it changes you in a monumental way. I know guys that are making 10 grand a month just flipping couches. If you live in a college town, you should be in the couch business. Health and beauty is amazing because they sell jars of goop for $500 and you could buy them for $100. Let people make money off of you. The guy you're selling that shirt for $5, he's going to sell it for 30 and you don't care because you're going to go do that over and over and over again.
How did you finance that deal?
Credibility. I didn't have the money to buy that volume. If you don't think it's worth risking a few $100 to buy 80 grand worth of clothes, it's not for you.
I've been in an industry like that, in the Bitcoin mining industry.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to say to my employees, our biggest competitor is convincing people we're not a scam.
Yes.
Because all of our competitors are scams. How do you do that? Like, what are some tricks of the trade around that?
Yeah. The more expensive you sell it, the more people think it's a scam. It's too good of a deal. It's not real, right? You get that a lot. So you can't push. You can't do hard sales. Doesn't work. You have to try to be the hottest girl at the dance. You got to use like gravity to try to get them to come to you. When you make that phone call, it's just like, hey, like I said, I have this opportunity. You know what? You may not be interested, but I just thought I'd run it by you. And, you know, I got another company buying from me or whatever. You just, the soft sell.
Yeah.
And then
hard
they
to
go,
get.
What's that?
You're
Hard
kind
to
of
get.
playing hard to get.
You got to play hard to get because it is a great opportunity. The price they're going to pay. And so then the other way to do it is, so I did this with watches. I built a watch business around this concept and I bought a big load because nobody would talk to me. And I was like, okay, I have to buy this because this company wanted me to buy. And I'm like, I'm just going to buy it. I had the resources and I bought a ton of it. So then I went out, I searched every seller on eBay that was in the watch business. I tried to reach out. Nobody would talk to me. Nobody knew who I was. One guy, he said, you really have this? I said, yeah, I have these things. And the next day, his partner was in my office. He flew out from New York to California and I had it all on my conference table.
That's how you know they're serious.
Yep.
They're hungry.
Yes. And I said, hey, I can get this product every week. Not only, I have to take it every week. So I'm looking for this. And the other thing that helps you get credibility is you let people make money off of you.
Yeah.
Right. The guy you're selling that shirt for $5, he's going to sell it for 30 and you don't care.
You got to be okay with that.
You got to be okay. Let them make the bulk of the money because you're going to go do that over and over and over again. So like in the watches, I said, hey guys, I don't know anything about the watch business. I have to manage this relationship. I have other buying relationships with this business. I need a good partner. I only want to make, a few percentage points because the volume was so high. It was like, I've done like $15 million worth of watches with this guy. And after that one conversation, and I just talked to him the other day, we started doing it and it was exactly as I said it was. There was no BS. It was, you undersell and over deliver.
It's funny because I like to call it, don't look on the other side of the table. I had a call last week with a guy he's actually liquidating, coincidentally, medical supplies. Oh. And he's like, I just don't think we're doing very well because the guy we're selling to, he's making so much more money than we are on this stuff. And I was like, whoa. Like, how much fear or sense of urgency or doubt would you have about your business right now if you didn't even know that? He's like, well, I mean, I think we'd be doing like, what's the point? This guy had like 70% margins. He was doing great, but he was stressed because the people he was selling to were making even more money. And I'm like, don't worry about that.
You have to disassociate yourself with that.
It's ego, it's pride.
Yeah. And value the relationships. Because a lot of this stuff we're talking about, like buying a B-Stock, Costco, it's just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Once you get into the deal flow,
you're rewiring your brain, like we like to say.
And people start calling you.
Yeah.
I just got a call, a guy that I met. It's like, hey, I've got 2,500 fishing poles. I don't know. I need to sell them. What do I do? Okay, well, let's figure that out. I had a tile company. I was like, man, we have, 2 truckloads of tiles that we need to get rid of, high end this, and we need help doing this. And how could you do this? And so you got to get into the where the deals are and first find out if you even like to resell, right? You can start this with nothing. Just walk around your house and sell stuff and see if you like, do you want to deal with people on Facebook Marketplace? I don't, but some people do really well there. Do you want to sell on eBay? Do you want to do live selling? Practice, see if you like it, experiment. And those experiments change everything in your brain when you become independent. It's like I liken it to going off grid. losing the natural trained dependencies that we have been brought up to rely upon is unbelievably powerful. It's like unplugging from the grid and being self-sufficient. So when you know you can make thousands of dollars by yourself, it changes you in a monumental way.
I feel like a lot of the people I talk to, maybe they're working at a corporate job and they want to be entrepreneurs, but they really like the idea of entrepreneurship. Yeah. They don't know yet if they like it. And is there a better way of learning if you like entrepreneurship or not? Like, because you don't have to quit anything. You could do this with your old Nintendo Switch on Facebook Marketplace. And it's like, people are going to ghost you. They're not going to show up. It's going to be annoying, but it's like, that's entrepreneurship. But on the flip side, when they hand you that $80 and you feel the dopamine, that's entrepreneurship.
I love it, man.
It's a trade-off, right?
Yes.
And so it's a perfect way to learn. Do you really like it?
Yeah. There's no risk in doing that. You're only risking your time. And you want to make it enjoyable as you can, because it's a grind. If you just do it as a hobby, okay, you don't have to put a lot of work in it, and that's great. And you can make an extra couple grand a month, no problem. But if you want to scale and start to buy things, you need to be interested in it. I always joke, if you can fall in love with problem solving, you'll be unstoppable. Unstoppable.
It's funny you were talking about you got to play hard to get to convince people you're not a scam. It's funny and ironic because the best scammers out there do exactly that.
Oh, they do?
They do. Like I've been scammed like that, where it's like, I'll call you back. And they slow roll it. It's like the long con, right? So
it's amazing.
They've caught on to it too, right?
Yeah.
That's how you
well, and like let's go back to our clothing example or whatever. If you don't think it's worth risking a few $100s to buy 80 grand worth of clothes, it's not for you.
Yeah.
You can have this stuff dumped in the front. I mean, I have this stuff. My house is kind of weird and on top of a hill, and I have to have it all dumped down on the street. And there's only 4 houses on my street, but every time I dump it down there, sure enough, my neighbors are driving by looking at me like, what's
he up to now?
What are you guys doing? My wife did a deal. She bought 1,000 pairs of shoes. We had just moved to this new house, and I had this guy dropping off these big pallets of shoes. He was like, this is this little old guy, this Asian guy. And he goes, these are all your shoes? And I'm all, man, we're just moving here. These are all my wife's shoes. I go, can you believe it? He was like, oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
That's funny.
Tell me about a couple deals that went bad. You bought it at this price. You knew you could sell it at this price. It didn't move, or you sold it at a loss. And why did that happen? Was that avoidable in retrospect, or sometimes you're just going to get bit?
It is avoidable most of the time. Sometimes you can get bit. It depends on your supplier. It's another reason why I like to push people to Costco to get started, because they're so good to work with when there's a problem. And there will be problems. Things won't be represented correctly. Conditions are not correct. One of the most important things about buying this stuff is you always want to get a manifest, a spreadsheet with a list of everything you're going to get. And I wanted to be in the TV business so bad when else, all these sexy flat panels, everything. I'm a sucker for. I'm like, hey, this is just a big laptop, right? We were repairing laptops. Why can't we get into this business? So I bought a few truckloads of TVs, but I did not get a manifest. And it was
why didn't you?
Because I was too
didn't
hungry.
Know to? Could you have gotten it if you asked for it?
It just was no man. There's lots of deals, but no manifest. Even up on the auction sites, there's tons of people that buy without a manifest. But I don't suggest people. You got to be a sophisticated buyer.
You're not even saying there can be alpha in that. Like there could be good opportunities in that because other people are. You're saying just avoid it.
Unless you really know what you're doing, you should avoid it, because you're gonna get ups and downs. Like I will tell you, like guys that run bin stores, you know what those are? People just sell.
I think so. Yeah.
So, they open on Thursday and everything's $10. And
those didn't even exist like 5 or 10 years ago, did they?
No, it's Amazon. Those are most are Amazon returns, right? Okay. So those guys don't care about the manifest. They just care about the number. I'm going to spend $10,000 and I'm going to get
dollar
5,000
per item.
items. Yes, whatever it is, dollar per item, whatever that's different.
I have a friend that sells clothes like that, truckloads of clothes, and he wants like 10 cents per shirt.
There you go. That's right. So that's a different thing. So I bought a couple truckloads of these TVs that were supposed to be a certain thing, and there was no manifest, and I just had no recourse, and the company just told me to pound sand. So I lost, I think, I think I bought like $12,000. And, yes, did we yank all the parts and stock them and try? I tried to, because laptop parts was a huge multi-million-dollar business for me. It was amazing. So I thought for sure, okay, well, they'll do this and we can buy that. But TVs are so different. They're not carried around. They don't fall apart as much. And it was a bad thesis. But I'm not the most sophisticated guy. Most of the time, I try to prove my thesis by just doing it and see if it works. And so it didn't work. So I had to dump a bunch of stuff. So I try to tell people that in this business, the profits are in the averages over time.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to get some home run deals, but you're also going to just get some average deals. And sometimes you're going to just get some junk. So when people start complaining, like in my mastermind, I've got about 210 people. I get people that come in, man, I got this, and there was a bunch of stuff, and I'm really upset. And I say, well, are you going to make money on the deal? Well, yeah, but I could have made more. I said, well, how much are you making? And it's like, well, I bet $1,500 and I'm only making $2,000. It's like, well, now most of these companies like Costco, they have a thing. If it's the variance on quantity or value is more than 5%, they will do something for you. It's great. So
based on what you get.
Yes. So if you've spent 10 grand and more than $500 doesn't match the condition, damaged or whatever, they'll give you a credit. They're awesome. Or if you bought 10 items and 2 are missing, well, that's 20%. They're going to compensate you and they're going to look at it and figure it out. But they're not going to give you the retail price. They're going to say, okay, you bought 10 items for $1,000. It's $100 an item. 2 are missing. Here's $200 credit. So I have definitely lost money. There's no doubt. I lose money when I experiment. I started buying from Japanese auction houses when I was in the luxury handbag business. And when I got started, I did a lot of study, but there's definitely bags that I lost money on. There's just no way around it that I know of. You're not going to make money on everything. So it's averages over time. Don't beat yourself up. But what you want to avoid for new sellers that are experimenting, I'm trying to help them avoid losing money on the first deal, because that is a mind reset too. Oh, this doesn't work. That's what you hear. This doesn't work. And I'll say, well, what'd you buy? I bought a pallet of air fryers. And I said, well, if you would have asked in the mastermind, I wouldn't have bought that, because the guy was like,
you pay $5 a month to avoid this.
Yes. And it's like, he's a great guy, but he was upset when I mentioned, I hope you make sure you have plenty of cleaning supplies because you're going to clean them all out. And he's like, what? And I say, well, unless they're new. I go, maybe I'm wrong. He goes, no, they're not new. They're store returns. I said, who's cleaning it before they take it back to Costco? Nobody.
Literally no one.
No one.
Those things get nasty too.
So they're going to be nasty. And so it's not that, and I don't know whether he made money or not, but I'm trying to keep people from being frustrated that because it's frustration is just built in. It's a feature, not a bug. That's what keeps all the regular people from doing it. So if you can break through that barrier, you're golden.
So hypothetical scenario, you go to sleep, you wake up, you have no assets, you don't own your home, you have $5,000 in your checking account, you have no audience, all you have is your resale knowledge. What's your first go-to?
I go to Costco and I try to find categories that I can spend, if I'm mechanical, I buy pressure washers, generators, lawnmowers, stuff that I know sells well on Facebook Marketplace. Easy flip, make $200-$300 per unit.
Is it worth going to Facebook Marketplace, like going to B-Stock, looking at some items, going to Facebook Marketplace, listing them at like a reasonable price, seeing what the traction looks like, and then buying? Do you ever do that?
Yeah. I mean, I would consider that to be part of my resale knowledge. That I have studied Facebook Marketplace.
You don't need to do that. Other people might, but in this hypothetical scenario, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, because if I'm going to buy at 10 cents, I feel pretty safe when I go up and look, say, everybody's selling this model pressure washer for $500. There are no outliers, that kind of thing. So you want to do your research. I like selling small items like handbags. I think health and beauty is amazing because they sell 3-ounce jars of goop for $500, and Costco discounts it and sells it for $350, which is unbelievable. And you could buy them for $100 and sell it for $200 or $150. Make 50 cents on the dollar. So small stuff that you can do yourself, that you can ship. Jewelry, I think, is amazing if you know that business.
So video is cool, but you know what's better? Long form audio via podcast and my newsletter, tkopod.com. Go there to subscribe for free to my newsletter. It's 1 email a week, very tactical. And then go to my audio podcast, 3 episodes a week, stuff like this. You're going to love it. All free, no sleazy sales pitch, tkopod.com.
I know guys that are making 10 grand a month just flipping couches, buying couches and selling it. If that's what you want to do.
That's their whole niche, couches.
Couches. If you live in a college town and you want to be a reseller, you should be in the couch business because all those students want to buy couches every semester.
Yeah.
They put them on their porch and they rot and fall apart and they need to buy 2 or 3 and the frat house needs 8 or 10. And you want to be the couch guy for Sigma Alpha, whoever, right? So every time they call and they say, yeah, we've everybody put in $100, so we've got $5 grand. We want to buy new couches. I'm your guy.
Okay. So you're just going to go to a category on B stock that you kind of know, and then you're going to buy a truckload and try to move it.
Yeah. In the beginning, you're probably not going to buy a truckload, but you can buy like a few pallets of them. So you can experiment. Yeah. If you want to be the barbecue outdoor guy, if that's your niche and you love that, buy Blackstones. You'll get the end more. You'll get things like ice chests and umbrellas and stuff that is outdoor stuff, but that can be your niche. And and you can sell that stuff. And if you're buying store return Blackstones, get ready to clean them up. They're going to have fat on them and oil, and you got to repurpose it. But when Costco sells it for $500 and you paid $100, there's an opportunity there for you to work.
And if you were to put a GoPro on a tripod in front of that Blackstone as you clean it, post those to Instagram in a time lapse, you could sell those through your Instagram account.
It's like the stuff
everyone loves watching those before and after.
Yes. Oh, the using social media now for this stuff is unbelievable. That's why live selling is so popular too, right? People are up there doing stuff and everything else. So it's great. I love it. You can probably tell I get excited talking about it. I can't stop talking about it. That's why I started that mastermind. That's why I post stuff on X. Today I posted U.S. government selling $88 million planes and the opening bid is $500,000. And I'm like, hey, what can we do with these planes, man? It's the military version of the DC-10, right? And it's like it's one's missing an engine. And I'm like, I don't want to fly them. What else can we do with them? Everybody's telling me it's too expensive and it's not. I'm like, stop.
It's 99% off.
Yes.
Like, what are we talking about?
For $500 grand, if we each kicked in money, could we park it somewhere, make it an Airbnb? Can we make it a play? Do we put it next to the dig world where the kids use construction equipment? How much can we charge kids to go play in a giant, refueling tanker, this kind of stuff. So I love it. It's incredible.
Oh my gosh. One of the most encouraging things I think you're saying is like, you don't really care about the category all that much. I keep coming back to that because I think a lot of people are hearing this like, all right, what do I choose? Where do I go? What's the secret website or the secret niche? It's like, doesn't really matter.
Action. I have 35,000 followers. I tell this story every single day. Less than 1% take action. And, out of that 35,000, 210 have joined, said, hey, instead of buying a cup of coffee, I'll join this mastermind where I share tons of stuff. And they help each other. Like, there are people up there helping each other, learning. And then out of that 210, 220 people in the mastermind, there's probably 30 or 40 actually buying at this point.
Yeah.
But they're leveling up. So the biggest barriers in your brain, the biggest barrier is being risk averse, even though the risk is very small, but taking action to see if it's something interesting. Maybe you don't even like it. Then don't do it. Do something else. Go find something on Etsy to resell or whatever. But,
I feel like reselling is such an underrated skill. I've been working with my oldest, he's almost 15, on selling a bunch of crap we have on Facebook Marketplace. And he sold an old iPhone and he's like, all right, Dad, they're coming to the house. Can you do it for me? And I'm like, no, this is the worst part.
Yeah,
this is the worst part. You're doing like, I will stand there with you, but you're going to interact. You're going to talk. I'm 38 years old. I hate this part.
Yes, that's
right. Part of it. Right.
Yeah.
And then like I tweeted about Tesla a while ago. It went viral and I sold 10 Teslas. I got $5,000 in Tesla credits, but they expire after a year. And so I needed to buy something on Tesla.com to resell so I could convert these credits to cash.
Yes.
Right.
Nice.
And like, it was second nature to me. I went and I looked, I'm like, okay, they have a cyber quad for kids. That looks cool. They have a cyber truck for kids. That looks cool. I went to eBay, typed in cyber quad, cyber truck for kids. And then in my opinion, the most important button on all of eBay is clicking sold items.
Yeah.
Filter by sold, not completed, but sold.
No, sold.
Because the prices you're seeing tell you nothing. You got to see the green prices, right?
You got it.
So then I see, wow, okay, this is $1,600 on Tesla.com. They're selling for $2,900. Tesla's fees are 15%. I'm going to go to Facebook Marketplace. I went to Facebook Marketplace, got some Google images of each product, listed them at like a $500 profit each. I waited an hour. One of them had 13 clicks. One of them had 3. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy 2 cyber quads. And I just bought them with my credits because I know I'm going to move them.
Yep.
Like,
of course,
all of that took 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's because of skills that I've learned over the last 15 years.
That's right. And like, I do the same thing for stuff I want to own. Like, okay, I need a new Polaris, a new Ranger, new ATV. Well, where can I go buy 3 or 4 of them so I can sell, half of those and keep the other ones? Cause I want to pay for it. Where can I buy, I can't pay retail. I have like I'm allergy to it, right? I can't, go to the store and I'd rather buy a pallet of them. Like, we walk into Costco and my wife says, look, they're selling these Legos and this. And she's like, we should buy, some of these to resell. And I'm like, well, how many pallets do they have? Let's buy them all. And let's not buy 4. Let's buy 4 pallets, So it is a way to think about it. And it is that research that you're talking about. That's what makes you confident. You build your confidence, and don't buy, $20,000 at the beginning, or don't buy a truckload, or don't buy something that you're not like, can you move a couch? I think there's a huge opportunity in scratch and dent up to Costco, and even GE sells direct, but I don't recommend it to many people because they don't have the resources. Like, how do I get the thing off the truck? And how do I carry? You can't do it out of your garage, but for another level of seller, scratch and dent appliances. And the most valuable part of the scratch and dent appliance is it comes with a story, because it's so cheap, and you're going to buy it at like 10 cents on the dollar, but it's fully functional. It's never been used, but it's got a dent. It's got a scratch. It's missing some weird thing. That story makes it okay for people to buy it. It's weird. It's really, we're not rational beings, right? We rationalize after we've made the decision. So you go, oh, that $3,000, Samsung refrigerator with the screen on it, it's only $1,200. Oh, that's because it's a scratch and dent. Let's go buy it.
Yeah,
but if you didn't see that, you'd be like, what's the scam? That's not real.
And their budget for a fridge before they even learned about that might have been $900. Correct. They're going over budget because they're getting such a value.
Yeah. All this stuff is repeatable. As long as you're willing to do some experiments and find out, it doesn't matter what category you sell. I like small things that are high dollar. Other guys like big things. Yeah, it just depends on what works for you. I like having my kids involved in it. My kids grew up around this stuff. And
are they entrepreneurial?
Yeah, they both are entrepreneurial, actually, in their own way. My daughter's very creative, and she's a leader and manager of creative people, which is another unique skill. And my son has been flipping shoes and clothes and everything he can get his hands on his whole life. And now he's learning sales the hard way, grinding right out of college, which is great. But he sold solar door to door, crazy experience. And you learn a lot on that stuff. But it's been a great lifestyle, and it's helped us build wealth. And there's been lots of ups and downs like any business. But what I like about it is there's massive variation. I get bored, but I always come back down to I'm a product guy. I like to buy and sell, and physical I love the goods. Deal.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's like 8 more questions I want to ask, but we're almost out of time. So we're going to have to do this again, because I'm so fired up right now. It's 5:15 in the afternoon where I'm usually dead, but I feel like I just drank a Celsius. So that's a good sign. 2 questions. Number 1, what was the best deal, like best flip you ever did? And number 2, I'm curious how, like, on your watch, you sold $15 million of watches to the same guy. What was preventing that guy to going around you? Is it just because of one relationship that you happen to have? So 2 questions in one there.
Yeah, I'll do the second question first. It's all about relationships and credibility. And this company came to me because I already had a relationship with them. They'd met me. I'd spent millions of dollars with them already. So they came to me because they lost a previous buyer. That buyer went out of business, and they were like, "Hey, we know this is a totally different category. We love your help. Even just temporary while we find a different buyer." And I was like, "Man, I don't know anything about this category. I don't wear a watch, but it's like drinking from a fire hose. I'm just going to get flooded." The reason why my client never went around me is the same: my relationship with him, and the fact that he knew. I say left all this money on the table. He knew that the lion's share of the profit, because he had to build a business around it, right? I didn't. And so we had this trusted very credible relationship. And that's why. And the second part, best deal I ever did, I bought it for $2 million and sold it for 11.
What was that?
It was phones. Of course. iPhones.
I think you tweeted about that, like a truckload full of phones.
I've tweeted about it several times. Different parts of it. I've tweeted about it.
Oh my God. And was that just like one buyer? Like one phone call? Or
Yeah. And the crazy thing is I sold them back to China. Invert, man. You always got to invert. You got to look at the most valuable part of the phone is the motherboard.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything.
Yeah.
And so you have to just constantly think differently than other sellers, especially in commodity stuff. So if you can find different ways to repurpose things that others miss, it could be massive.
What was the end buyer? Like, not who was this, but was it like a company or refurbisher?
Yeah, it was a company.
They only wanted the motherboards, or they were going to like give the phones to their employees?
This deal was like a salvage deal. So I got, this massive opportunity and bought it and flipped it to, and I would not have gotten it had I not had a decade or more of experience, right? I couldn't have handled it. I knew what the real value was. So I paid, I was willing to pay a little bit more because I knew my contact. I paid him more after the fact because I was like, this deal's more valuable than you think. So that's how you earn trust and credibility, where you say, hey, you know what? You're going to make like, I don't know, whatever, let's make a number up. You were going to make $100,000, but you know what? It's actually worth a lot more. I'm going to pay you 150. And when you do those kinds of things, the word gets around. Right?
Yeah.
And if you're super trusted in an industry that's full of untrustworthy people, it's that gravity thing, right? People come to you, right? During COVID, I got approached from the cruise lines because they couldn't sell their handbag inventory, right? Because they weren't in business. And so like, who do we sell this to? Well, somebody said, I know a guy.
Yeah.
I bought
You're
all
gonna take
handbags.
A haircut.
Yeah.
Shannon's there.
That's it. So, but anyway, it was, but you know where I found that guy? eBay. Using these same tactics we talked about and being, upfront, authentic, trustworthy. And it was crazy. It was a crazy deal. It's amazing.
How did you finance that deal?
I had a ton of credibility and I didn't have the money to buy that volume either, but the way I managed it was with my contact and I had some time. He knew who I was. I had a lot of business with him, a short window to do this deal and he knew I could do it. And I said, okay, well, I start flipping money when it, I'm just, cash flow has been my problem my whole life, right? I build wealth, asset rich, great. But I invest everything back into every deal I have. And so you just make it work. You have to. There is no alternative. Man. I always say the money is never a problem. The deal, if the deal is good enough, you could go get the money. Like I could go borrow hard money and borrow it at 10, 12%. Just be like, here, look, I've got a buyer. I have the product. Here it is. I'm, somebody could have made, $100,000 on their investment in 3 months or 4 months or whatever. But we just kind of kept rolling.
And it's interesting how you frame it too, because you could have just brokered that deal and say, give me 10%. No. And then you go sell it for 11 million. You make $1 million. But instead you're like, give me 30 days.
Yeah.
And I'll give you your $2 million.
I've spent my life weaving this big net. I'm constantly building this net. Like, okay, I'm getting these deals. I don't care if it's a phone, a handbag, a house. I bought a, that's a whole other podcast. Anyway,
you told me that, like, it was like a forestry. There was like
I
a
bought
fire.
The house. Nobody else wanted to buy this house because the U.S. government wanted to buy it, and I bought it, doubled my money and owned the house and rented it out as an Airbnb for 4 years and made money that way too. But it goes back to your question earlier. What's more important, the system or the product? The system. It's always the system. That is the hardest part. That's what takes the year and a half, because you're going to have fits and starts and you're going to be like, okay, I blew it. I can't buy this, man. What do I do now? And you're going to get your head hang up about that. You just have to power through those things because you get the system going. It's like, putting grease on the wheels, right? As the better you get at it, the more money you start to make,
Oh, dude, I'm about to go start buying some Blackstones. I'm so fired up right now.
I love Blackstones too.
Shannon, this was amazing. And this was just amazing.
Thanks for having me back on. I love talking about this stuff, man.
I had such high hopes, and you just exceeded them. So
that's cool.
Where can we find you on X, the Mastermind?
Yeah, just come up on X at Shannon Jean, ShannonJean. Follow me, and then I post about the Mastermind all the time. Like I said, it's $5. That just covers the cost to host it, and on the platform. And come in and learn and see if it's for you, and have a good time. It's I'm having the time of my life, man. I never thought anybody would be interested in hearing this stuff. So my wife's sick of hearing these stories.
That's amazing. Our wives are a lot alike.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, what'd you think of Shannon? Let me know in the comments if I should have him on again, and I will. Please share with a friend. I love you guys a lot.